the cost of per home passed that's being evaluated, or roughly?
Yeah, roughly. There's the cost, and then there's what we have to borrow, because in the current environment with very high interest rates, you may have to borrow a lot more than the cost because of the interest and so forth. But the actual cost for this capital cost for the project is about $70 million. So divide 70 million by 23,000, and you get.
But 23,000 is not who you're going to connect. It's you're going to go to everywhere, right?
Right. The 70 million is the capital cost of creating a network.
Passing 55,000
people.
homes.
No, 23,000 homes.
Oh, okay.
55,000
Okay.
people, 23,000
Okay,
homes.
okay. That's what I got wrong.
Broadly speaking, as a rough, very rough number, it costs about, and in order to pass them and hook up enough people to be profitable, which in our area is 65% penetration, roughly 15,000 people. So to pass 23,000 and connect 15,000, at which point we're profitable, that costs $72 million.
Okay.
And that, divide the two, and you get the cost per connected customer is a little over, it's about $5,000, $5,500 per connected customer. $5,500, if you view that connected customer as a business, $5,500, let's make it $6,000 just to give ourselves some cushion in case we only connected $12,000. $6,000 per connected customer. This network is financed entirely by debt. So the first cost of serving that customer is the cost of servicing a debt to have connected them. So servicing $6,000 of debt costs you $450 to $500 a year. Operating the network is about $500, $600 a year per customer. That's everything. That's the cost of TV content, long distance, and labor,
backhaul, and
everything. Absolutely everything is, say, $600. So it costs you $500 to service the debt, $600 to operate it. That's $1,100 for each customer. Each customer, the ARPU, the average revenue per user. Today, customers right now are paying for the triple play, lousy triple play, because it's dial-up and deteriorating copper voice and so on, but they're paying an average of $135 per month from different companies, but they're paying them. So we say we can, for $125, we'll provide you a much better service for $10 a month less than you're paying right now. Who's going to not say yes? You're taking $125 a month times 12. That's $1,500, $1,600 a year. The costs are $1,100, $1,200. It's a business. That's okay. If you're taking in 15 or 16 and it's costing you 12, anybody can do that arithmetic. So those are the basic economics that demonstrate in the long run this is viable. Getting there obviously is not so easy. I mean, you've got 5 years to get to the point of having 15,000, 65% connected. Is a 4 to 5 year period. You got a lot of struggle, and it's not easy to do this, but that is the kind of calculation that says yes, fundamentally this business is viable. That doesn't mean you can't screw it up by bad management.
Sure, which is true of any business.
Any
public
business
or
at all.
private.
Yeah, no, I mean, government does not have a monopoly on lousy management, as we can see in the market. But if it's properly managed, there is a fundamentally viable business case here. But I used to be a venture capitalist. I know about that.
That's. There's one thing I wanted to ask you, which you said yesterday, and I can guess at what the answer is, but you mentioned a number, I think it was 45 vertically integrated municipal networks in the U.S., and you said there are roughly...
No, there are about 45 municipal networks, period, of all kinds. But 35 or 38 are integrated, meaning they offer
the
retail
services
service
themselves,
and everything.
yeah. But one of the things you mentioned is you said the open access guys or the wholesale guys are not doing well. Could you explain why you think that is?
Yeah. In the United States, not in Europe. In Europe, there's a reasonable understanding and willingness to commit taxpayer money to support fundamental infrastructure of this kind, which I happen to think is a wise thing. I think this is just like we use taxpayer money for water systems and roads. No reason why we shouldn't use taxpayer money for broadband. But in the United States, it so happens we can't do that. There's a little bit with this new stimulus, but by and large, you can't. And just it's a political reality. So that means you have your network has to be totally self-sustaining from its internal own revenues. And that means you got to build the network and operate it solely with the revenues from the customers. You can't do that without being able to control and offer retail services. Why can't you? In order to, first you have to build a network. Very capital intensive. You have to borrow a whole lot of money and you have to spend a lot of money. Now you've got this great big gob of capital you've spent out there, and you've now got a great big gob of debt service you have to pay. Now, how do you pay that? If it's an open network, you say, AT&T, will you come and run services on my on my network and pay me enough to pay my debt service? AT&T says, no. We don't much do that anyway. We operate our own networks, thank you very much. We don't use others. And even if I did do it, I wouldn't pay you very much. Why not? Because I know you're screwed. I know you're in desperate need. You have to get money to pay your debt. And I can cram any lousy deal I want down your throat. So even if you succeed in getting somebody to come on your network, you do so in a bargaining environment so weak that you can't get a good deal.
Right. So there's a squeeze effectively.
Extreme, absolutely. Yeah. This is what they're, I mean, anybody who's been in business would know that ahead of time. The wholesale model is in the United States is mostly pushed. It's very different from the political environment. It makes sense in Europe. It doesn't make sense here. By and large, the wholesale model in the United States is implemented because state law in Washington or Utah, whatever, has required and said you cannot do by law. The municipality is not allowed to do telecommunications at all, except through the wholesale model. Now, where did that state law come from? It came from the incumbents, who having their first job, the incumbents' first purpose or the first aim or goal is to outlaw municipal telecom altogether, which they've succeeded to do in about 10 states in the United States, where it's absolutely outlawed. But if they fail to get that away, then their second goal is to go, okay, if we can't actually outlaw municipals, we'll pass a law that so cripples them that if they're foolish enough to get going, they'll sink. And then either we'll just, trumpet how municipalities can't do this, or we'll buy the network on the cheap and use it ourselves. Which is what's happening.
And say that they can't do this.
And say they can't do it. So that's exactly what's happening. I mean, the game is not on the level. It's a fraud and a fake and a cheat, and most people who are in it know it.